Hello, guys. We are live today on Carnivore Team GB, session number 17 with myself, Jonathan Griffiths, Carnivore Muscle, aka Composition Consultant, aka insert somewhat, I don't know, arrogant name in front of it. We're also joined today with Phil Escott from the Big Fat Challenge. We're being accompanied today by Ben Hunt because he is unfortunately, I repeat, unfortunately stuck in traffic in an AA towaway van. And we've also got
I'm here.
Lee from Kent Carnivore. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. I was just checking to see if I had the right link there. You sent it on WhatsApp. I just sent it to myself on my email. But I thought I was.
Hello, mate. Good to see you again.
You too, mate. How you doing? All right.
Good, good.
I'm going to try and stream it.
Nice one. Yeah. So if you're listening to this right now, just insert your questions with a Q. Makes it easy for me to spot them. Otherwise, we're just going to ramble and chat about whatever. I doubt it'll be a busy stream tonight because it doesn't seem to be popular online at the moment in terms of like carnivore YouTube channels. People aren't getting notified apparently, but that's just what I've heard from the grapevine. Yeah, well, maybe we'll just talk about what we've got coming up. So Phil and Lee, or maybe Phil first, if you got any upcoming videos or stuff going on, you know, in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. No, we still got that War on Health conference at Easter, and you can find that. Just go. You see the thing underneath my name there, thebigfatchallenge.com. Click on the event, the Easter event, and that's there. And yeah, come along. It's going to be great. 2 days, amazing speakers. On that link, there's interviews with all the speakers who are there, including Stephen and Richard and Sophia Clements and Sarah Pugh, Andrew Scarborough, Ben and me. And I suppose the best thing this week, we're really excited because it's taken us so long to get this out, and we've got the Red Pill Food Revolution out. Yay. So it's available on all satanic outlets. You can get it by putting a bit of money in Jeff Bezos's pocket, but we tried to avoid it if anybody complains about that. But hey, it cost us 2 years on it, so that's out. Best book ever written. Thank you, Ben.
Yes.
With a little bit of contribution to me on the history of food and how we've been fooled by the evil elites down the centuries and maybe even millennia on about what we're supposed to actually eat to keep us weak and sick. So that's my news. What's anyone else
cool.
doing?
Wait, you, Lee, what's going on for you?
Well, I've not long let everybody know, or tried to attempt to let everybody know that I'm going in for surgery next Wednesday, so a week tomorrow. So we'll obviously.
Oh wow, getting closer, man.
Yeah, it's coming up quick now. You know, I've waited sort of 18 months for this news, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, it's quite quick. So just priming, actually. I'm getting more food in mind of trying to gain whatever little weight I can in the short period of time I've got left, and that's it really. Just no stress, just trying to keep relaxed and optimize everything, sleep and grounding, just taking it as easy as I can, really. You know, wait for that to come, and then that'll be a little bit of a grueling challenge in of itself. You know, just the recovery without carnivore is enough. But
how long do they think the recovery is going to be from this?
12 weeks. That's what they think, which I'm hoping to obviously beat. I mean, it's strange because obviously I've been through a similar situation at the time in the past. I really felt like I needed it, and I was in such a state that I almost wanted them to do something, just, you know, get rid of this, the way I feel. I felt like I was poisoned, you know.
Yeah.
But this time there's nothing really pressing in that same way. So it's funny because I just don't feel like I need the surgery, but it's one of those things that just has to be done, and it's been on the cards. But last time, yeah, it was just all at the front, really. I remember standing up straight after a few days of laying down, and you've got this sort of 7-inch lesion that's trying to sort of glue itself together. That's tricky, and getting up under the shower, trying to wash behind your back and things like that, just stuff like that you wouldn't think of. And even laying back down into a flat bed when I got home and that, and you can't lower yourself down in one of those hospital beds, that's quite a challenge. But you think you're all right, you know, you walk down the corridor, you feel like, yeah, I'm ready to go, you know, but you go home and you soon realize, you know, going upstairs is difficult. Certainly going to work and stretching to clean windows is not going to happen overnight. So we'll see, you know, time will tell, as the cliche goes. And hopefully with my health where it is now and carnivore and some of the strategies I'm going to implement, I should do quite well. I would like to think that I could get it done in 2 months, but we'll see.
No, it'd be interesting to see how fast you heal, because my son, you know, recently he's 8 years old and he's just been like breast milk and meat and that's it all his life.
Right.
And he landed on the side of his foot and sort of pulled a ligament really bad and maybe cracked a bone in his ankle. And they said, oh, like at least 6 weeks. And like, you know, less than a week later, he was running around.
Right. Wow. Okay.
It was like, maybe just come on, chill out. Maybe it's probably all right, but you know.
I've heard similar sort of stories to that, actually.
Yeah.
It does make you question things. Yeah. It's a good experiment. I've done it both ways. And so last time I didn't know what the hell I was doing. This time I've got a better idea. And so it's nice to try and put that in place. And I've got 2 things I can actually compare. It's like an experiment in some ways.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll get a much better effect like doing what you're doing. So I did a mini prime basically before my surgery, and I thought it was useful. I would strongly stress, I don't know what your protocols, but strongly stress getting hydrated as quickly as possible after surgery. Get your blood volume back up as quickly as possible. That's something which I struggled to do because my left side was paralyzed after surgery. So I was trying to, bear in mind I had a lot of pain in my right side, my lower back. I was trying to like press the button, you know, to lift my chair up, sort of thing in the you know, the bed in the hospital. Reach over like 3 feet to reach a you know, a big jug of water. I was like, can you just give me a bottle of water because I'm going to keep spilling it otherwise. I've got one arm that does work. I can barely stand up. My spine's crunching with every time I twist round. I've got these things attached to my legs. I've got all these things up my nose and ears and all sorts of pipes and stuff. So yeah, whatever you can do to get hydrated, that's my tip. Just going through it's very different surgery, but you know, just knowing when you can't move much, you're limited in terms of like your abdomen, your, you know, digestion sort of region. You're gonna be limited, but you've had enough time now to think about it, I guess. You know what the surgery entails. Just eat up as soon as you can. As soon as your appetite's there, get eating, honestly.
And some there's a protocol somewhere that Jack Cruz put up, you know, who's a neurosurgeon. He's a monster. You know Jack Cruz, you must do. And he put something up a while ago. I'm going to see if I can find it.
3 bottles of white wine.
Sorry?
3 bottles of white wine.
8 bottles, man. Yeah. Intravenous.
Right. Wow.
No, it was on preparation for surgery and whatever, and I believe some of it included methylene blue and whatever. But take some blue blockers into the hospital, because that's
a good idea. Yeah,
those fucking lights, they'll never let you sleep,
and you're just on your back, as well, staring at them the whole time.
They're buggers because there's like light under the door. There's like green little beeping things. There's noise. Like it drives you mental.
All the way around the clock, or would you take them off strategically during the day?
I'll take them off during the day.
Yeah, but that still, the lighting they have in hospital is more blue light than even you get the sun at midday. So it's telling you that it's midday every 5 minutes.
Terrible.
But if you use the blue blockers, definitely, you know, as the sun goes down. But and a sleep mask, you know, or just, you know, if you can get one of those good sleep masks, or wrap your head up in a t-shirt or anything at night, you know, just to get the light out, because it makes a huge difference to sleep. And, you know, those places are not conducive to sleep.
No, I couldn't agree more. That's actually one of the only things that I'm thinking about negatively is the whole sleep aspect. They pester you before you go to bed. They pester you midnight, then 3 a.m., then 6 a.m. The whole hospital sounds like they're totally alive and up at sort of 6:30. And then you think, oh, you know, I'm shattered. And your body just wants to heal. And sleep is obviously the best way to go about it.
When my son he's 34 now, my eldest son, and when we brought him up veggie, and so he got this horrendous issue in his neck, which was an aneurysmal bone cyst, where the vertebra just basically collapses. Wow. And they had to take the whole vertebra out, which involves a horrible operation from the front, from the back and then the front, to rip the whole thing off the spinal cord and replace it with all this titanium and bone grafts. It was hideous. He was like 11 or 12 at the time. Wow. And he was so brave. Nothing bothered him until one night he was just in complete tears. And I said, what's up? And he said, will they just turn those fucking lights off?
Yeah.
I just can't get any sleep. I can't stand it. And I didn't understand back then. It was like 2002 or something. But, you know, you can feel it. And you just if you can't keep it out your skin, at least keep it out your eyes.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, Lee, see how you get on anyway. You've got mine and Phil's full support, obviously. If you get a bit pissed off, which you probably will, give me a call sometime. You know, send me a text, say, "Oh, could I give you a call?" Just you know, I'll happily answer. Chat to you, take your mind off things. But yeah, there's a few different things you can do. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for the comments now, and everyone's asking, like, "Oh, what's this surgery for?" So do you want to briefly outline what it's about and what's going on?
Yeah. So in 2012, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. So I had an inflammatory bowel disease. This got worse and worse and worse over the course of sort of 5 years. I had some medication from the doctors after the first 2, was eating more fiber and all this kind of stuff. So I was essentially, you know, plant-based, and that just destroyed my gut. And so in 2017, I had to have every part of my colon taken out. There's just a silly little 5 centimeter piece of tissue that connects to the anus. That can't be left that way. It's not sustainable. I don't have the option for reverse because it's so small and problematic. So this is the healthiest that I'm going to be, kind of thing. And so they strongly advise against having any reverse or seeking any kind of other options. I also believe quite deeply that it's also, you know, the best way to go is to try and stay in this state, really. But the thing is that down the line, these cells can mutate, you know, where there's obviously a dodgy situation back there. It's not quite settled. It's not quite right. They can't leave that there. So before that leads to potential cancer, we want to remove the whole thing. And they say don't leave it 10 years. Well, I've been affected there for over 10 years. I've had my surgery over 7 years ago, and so it definitely needs to be addressed. So it's nothing to do with carnivore. Carnivore's totally turned my whole health around. And yeah, it's just a bit grim. You know, I don't feel sick. I feel as healthy as I've ever felt. And so I just have to face this surgery. It's just kind of finalizing and closing this chapter on having IBD that was essentially triggered and exacerbated with plants and plant fibers, gluten, maybe, you know, certain things in the plant world, really. So that's what it is. And yeah.
Fair, yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah. It's not ideal, but you do what you got to do. You know, life goes on. You know,
yeah,
we all have different surgeries and random health stuff, and you just happen to have one that's a bit more annoying, I guess.
Yeah, it's the pain in the arse,
Yeah.
quite literally.
Literally. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that one up. Anyway, we've got some questions now. So just a quick one for Phil. Can you ask Phil if I get a signed copy, will it be worth more money of the book? Imagine.
I don't know, honestly. I mean, it's been amazing, actually, how well it's sold over a few days. We haven't had it updated yet, but in the first couple of days, just from my social media, it sold like 250, maybe I don't know, maybe even 1,000 over the weekend. It's been really great. But I tell you what, actually, because this first issue, it's got they've completely cocked up the back cover, so it looks like it's like child's writing, and it goes to the sides, and so maybe that will become a collector's item in time. I don't know, but I don't know.
It's an extended edition.
Yeah, if you're in the UK, I mean, come along to our War on Health conference, and Ben and I will be there, and we'll sign them. But if you message me, I've got a box of them here. You know, if you really want to sign one, maybe I'll sign one and send one out. But you know, who knows? Go on, give it a go. But can't really sign one, you know, if it's coming from Amazon or something. But come along to the War on Health. Come and hang out with us, and I was happy to sign them there.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We got a question now about toothpaste. Do people think this is a good idea on Carnivore? And if not, what to do? I'm interested to hear, actually, Lee, what do you do for this sort of thing? Because obviously you're someone with digestive issues, so you have to be probably quite specifically careful about what you put in your gut, basically. So what do you find for toothpaste? Do you do anything special or different to anyone else?
Water, just water. It's the only tap water I use, and I spit it straight back out again. That's it. So I don't touch anything. I hope to think that I don't consume anything that's unnatural unless you can't do anything about it. You know what I mean? If there's a bit of something in an egg or a bit of something in a meat, if it's come in a plastic bag, you know, what can I do about that? You know what I mean? I use cast iron pans and everything. And so I think, like a lot of us, we start to see the benefit of not just the carnivore diet, but it becomes more of a lifestyle, you know, like we was talking about blue blocking and getting away from EMFs, getting outside. And that also includes things like toothpaste. Toothpaste isn't available in nature. I think if you just think of everything natural is what serves you, and everything in a plant serves the plant.
Fair, yeah. I mean, Phil, what's your take on all this sort of stuff?
Well, I think mouthwash is appalling stuff.
Oh God, yeah.
I caught the missus with a bottle of it a while ago, and I said, "What on earth have you got that for?" And she said, "I use it to unblock the drain in the bathroom." She doesn't use it at all. No, it's awful. It's terrible chemicals. We have a microbiome in the mouth, right? Mm. And this is very important for dental health and all sorts of health. I have to admit that I use toothpaste that is, free of pretty much everything. And I do use that now and again. But I even use a real microfiber, microfilament toothbrush because, even ordinary bristles can sort of wear stuff away. But I like the idea that Lee and Jonathan have got of just not bothering. I'm just so old. I'm in the habit of doing it, but I try and make it as sort of non-confrontational to the microbiome as possible. But normal toothpaste, it's awful. It's got fluoride in it usually. It's also got lauryl sulfate, which is a pretty nasty thing as well. Apparently, I understand. And just don't bother. You can make your own stuff if you do want to brush your teeth. Maybe some bicarb and some coconut oil or something like that. But so many carnivores now, I notice, don't brush their teeth. And maybe use a bit of floss to get the bits of meat out that are in between, and then maybe do some oil pulling with some coconut oil or something. You won't need anything else. Maybe a tongue scraper or whatever if you need it. What's that, Lee, you got there?
Just wooden toothpicks. That's what I use.
Yeah.
My teeth are quite close together in certain places, and like when I'm eating a bit of lamb or something, you always get just that little bit of sinew or something just sort of waving about in your mouth, and I just get a little bit of a wooden toothpick in there. That's what does me really.
Yeah, nothing's as bad. Again, plant-based stuff's worth. Do you remember eating mangoes? You spend the rest of the day with hairy orange teeth.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Yeah, terrible.
My worst enemies, that mangoes.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry. Yeah. Nick says, "Phil, can you sign my right pec, please? I'm attending the War on Health." Yes, mate. Absolutely fine. Whatever you like. It's fun.
Yeah, just so you guys that are listening to this, we're streaming on 3 different people's platforms, so mine, Phil's, and Lee's. So we do get a lot of messages come up, and if I'm listening or talking, I can't see every messages. I'm also quite far away from the screen, so seeing what the question is or what isn't, I can't tell. So please put a Q before the question, as it says at the bottom of the screen, otherwise it might get ignored or missed, and it's not deliberate. But we are answering them in chronological order as they come up on the screen. So appreciate your patience and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, about toothpaste, toothwash, mouthwash. I don't personally use any. I've used a toothbrush about 5 times since the start of 2023. So I've been over a year and I've brushed my teeth about 5 times. That's been where I've been out for a reason, somewhere special, novelty, maybe like a date night or something in the past. That's about it. I don't have dirty teeth. I don't have problems with my teeth, touch wood. My breath doesn't smell. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, sort of thing. But fun. I did notice when I was in uni, so first year, second year of uni, I brushed my teeth about 2 to 3 times every day. My teeth never got so yellow so quickly. But now I'm actually rebuilding all the enamel that's probably scraping off at that point in time. Now I'm a bit different to Lee, so I don't need to floss or use toothpicks really. I have quite naturally large gaps between my teeth anyway, so I don't really get stuff stuck. My teeth always feel sparkly white, like I've just been to the dentist, the hygienist. So, like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But yeah, no problems with my teeth at all that I know of. I'm a bit goofy, but I can't really change that with toothbrushes and mouthwash. So, yeah, I completely agree with what Phil said as well about the microbiome. You don't upset your microbiome. These things are natural antibiotics, or in a lot of cases, unnatural antibiotics, which destroy your gut. And what happens in your mouth does happen in your gut, and vice versa. So, be cautious of that. Yeah, I'd probably do what Lee's doing. And if you do happen to have very close together teeth, use some floss or something. In terms of like brands of mouthwash toothpaste, the only good one I found in the UK is a brand called Kingfisher. They do like a spearmint, fluoride-free, crap-free one. But that's what I'd personally use if I did brush them. Yeah, That's good talk about teeth and brushing stuff. Yeah, so we get to the next question now. So this question from Matthew, and it is, what are your thoughts on aluminium in healthcare products? I avoid them like the plague about listening to the audiobook Easter Generation by Anthony J. I Sanex Health. This is another funny one, which me and Lee might actually agree on. But Phil, what do you do for like cleaning and hygiene, male hygiene, stuff like
that? Male hygiene. Well, I don't use any of these sort of products really. In the years when I had really long dreadlocks, I discovered Dr. Bronner's like liquid soaps and really diluted. It's the only thing that doesn't leave residue. And if you've got dreadlocks and you wash your hair, if you do it with shampoo or whatever, you end up with sort of just gooey, horrible like Mars bars hanging off your head. Right, so you need something with no residue. So I've just carried on using that. And all I do is I wash my hair, what's left of it, and then just sort of get the rest of it, wash up under my arms and my bits. And I'll do a George Carlin wash. If you look up him, of his sketch on washing, it's hilarious. And that's it. You don't really need anything. I mean, my son is up there in the bath now. I don't think he's ever, I mean, sometimes, maybe once every week or so, he gets his hair washed, but in that Dr. Bronner stuff. But apart from that, it just gets in the bath and doesn't use anything. I think it's just habit. And I don't think you need anything really. Just sort of get in the bath and whatever, and get out or get in the shower or whatever. Get out as quickly as possible before all the crap that they put in the tap water gets into you, because it goes through the skin as well. And just, it's this hygiene thing. It's funny, isn't it? And when you go carnivore, you might go through a period where, say, your armpits might smell a bit, and then after that they just don't seem to anymore. I'll put a little bit of bicarb under my arms, just a little bit in the palm of my hand, put a bit of water in, do that, and then put it under my arms, and that's it. I don't have any products. Tallow, just tallow with a little bit of essential oils in it, some frankincense or something like that. And then and use that on your face, but that's it. No products. Like, I can't imagine it. We did the whole shaving foam thing, didn't we? I think last week. Like, what's the point in that? You just wet your face and use a razor if you want. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. I don't use anything really. I went through a stage of using baby head to toe. There's all Johnson's, and then you've got the cheaper versions of baby head to toe and Fred and Flo and all this kind of stuff. I was using that, and then, like you said, I started to just do like hair and arms and bits, and now I just use water. I'd spend maybe 5 minutes underwater, and that's it. I just sort of wash with my hands, and that's it, and get out, dry, and done. Like, I don't really seem to smell. My partner doesn't seem to think I smell at all. And I think the more you try and cover these things up, the more your body starts producing more. So if you wash your hair like 3 times a day, and then you stop washing your hair's going to be immensely greasy the next day, because your body's trying to give back what you're trying to take away. Really, you're sort of just getting in the way of things. Again, it's natural to be out and have your hair the way it is. We may have got into a lake or whatever, but a lot of the time, our feet would have been filthy. We're laying down in the ground. We're not really worried about cleanliness and all this stuff. It's actually totally unnatural, and we condition ourselves. Like, it's just all indoctrination that people think we need a toothbrush, and then we need the gel, and now we need to shave, and now we need all these different products from the gels and the foams, and it's just absolute nonsense. You don't need any of it. So yeah, I'm pretty minimalist. I don't use any product. I can't think of any actual products that I have now, and if I do, I'll probably go through it and throw it away and never buy it again. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
It's really weird, isn't it, when you go past some guy and they've got all this aftershave on or something like that. I sat next to somebody the other day, and it was like, what is that smell? It's incredible.
Yeah. Even when you smell like food, like other people's cooking. I don't know if Sky occasionally has some things, obviously, a bit of tin food sometimes just for convenience. We'd sort of zap something in the microwave. What is that smell? It's so odd. It's really strange. These grains, these highly processed grains, they put all these different things in it. You heat that up, it stinks something rotten to me now, where I used to actually like some of these smells. And I used to like what you're saying, that the aftershave and different things, you'd worry about your fabric softeners. And no, I don't want to use any of it. I wash this maybe, I don't know, once every couple of months, this cardigan. It stays clean. It is clean. Doesn't smell of anything. So I think there's a lot to be said for that. You know, I think it's all this plant toxins coming out your skin all the time. And the more stuff you put on your skin, it's kind of, you know, going against what you're trying to achieve. Counterintuitive.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't use anything outside of, in terms of like cleanliness, I'll wash my hands with hot water, stuff like that. Yeah, if I'm doing something which requires a lot of hygiene, you know, making food for someone else, stuff like that, you know, going to the bathroom, yeah, I'll wash my hands, things like that. Outside of that, I just use tallow to, it's just moisturizer. So if my skin feels dry, if I have a bath, I'll put it over my sort of dry areas of my body, you know, my knees, my wrists, sort of thing, elbows, forehead a little bit. But that's about it. I don't use anything. Occasionally I'll use a bit of deodorant if I'm going out for a meal with family or something, or friends. But it's not, I'm not caking myself in it. I'm just doing it to smell a bit like something rather than nothing. So like you, Lee, I mean, my, you know, I don't ever get comments about my smell, put it that way.
Yeah.
You know, I wash very, very infrequently. Probably have about one bath every 1 or 2 weeks and about 2 to 3 showers a week, maybe. I go to the gym, so if I didn't go to the gym, then yeah, I wouldn't need to worry. You know, if it's pissing with rain out, you get a lot of water and your clothes get stuck to you, yeah, you kind of need a bath then, I think, or a shower. But I think it's all hyped. All this stuff is a load of crap. I'm sensitive to smell anyway, so it just annoys me when I walk past someone, a pretty young lady, you know, and she's like, "Oh, I got this peach perfume on." Oh, great! I fucking hate it. It's irritating as hell. Makes my life hard because I then got to smell it, and I can smell for like half an hour.
Have you tried? You know, when you walk into a department store and you go through the perfume section?
I don't go in Lush, Body Shop. No, absolutely not.
I haven't been in one for ages, but I remember in the Trafford Centre in Manchester. You know, last time you walk in, it's like walking into a brick wall, and these people work in it all day long.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And those lights as well, like you feel like
caked and the false eyelashes.
Caked. So maximum prevention of UVA sort of exposure. So you got the makeup which blocking everything. Probably wearing like glasses which block about, I don't know, 42% of the UV light. Then they've got these harsh, bright ass, you know, white clinical lights in. Everything's like an odd colour. Then they're painting themselves with all these like different sprays and makeups. It's like, oh my god. But yeah, they see them like 10 years later and they look decrepit as hell.
No, but then they walk a couple of shops away and get a juice, a green juice, because it's healthy.
Detox.
Or for cleansing.
That helps. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good talk anyway. But we've got a question about Crohn's and spondylitis, arthritis. I tried carnivore for a year and the diarrhea was not fun. Any thoughts on raw meat? I've been doing a little better on it. I think this is a pretty open-ended topic, really. My very brief take is if it isn't broke, don't fix it. Just do it. I don't think it's a problem with raw meat. What I will say is anecdotally, I have a lot of people I've spoken to that do eat raw meat, which is not many at all. I say they're very, very, very frail and skinny people and often anxious and depressed in disposition. Is that causal? I don't know, but that's just what I've experienced in speaking to different people and what I've seen online. But, you know, I'm all for it if you enjoy it and you feel good. But Phil, what's your take on like the raw meat and Crohn's and spondylitis?
Well, I used to be a member of a raw meat group on Facebook, and quite a few of them came to the Carnivore conference in 2019, and some of them were very, very healthy. But I think what I've seen a lot of the time, if you're talking about doing this for autoimmunity, people who have a lot of diarrhea on it perhaps are reacting to rendered fats. And they can have an issue with that, and so they go fully raw and they don't like it, so they don't eat enough, which is probably the reason why Jonathan's seeing them going a bit skinny, which is very possible. But I would say that one of the dodges of that is to get kind of lean meat and then get some of the fat solid, go and buy it from the grass-fed farm or whatever, and just have a little slice of that with each mouthful. And it's actually really nice. And a lot of people do a hell of a lot better on that, on that solid fat. And they don't have to go completely raw because they can cook like a leaner steak or something and have those little bits of raw fat with it. And it seems to deal with it. The body seems to deal with it a lot better. But I think a lot of it is to do with bile production, and that some people are having trouble digesting. And so I'll go for my controversial woo-woo thing and say that actually I've seen people go for liver flushing, and that can really help with the bile production. And the only woo-woo thing of the thousands of things I tried when I was vegan that I think actually really works, and I've seen people then become much more tolerant of rendered fats, and they don't have to do the raw thing. So that's my take on it. But if you've got ankylosing spondylitis, you know, it's just autoimmune, same thing as arthritis. And I would, I definitely try and get on a PKD ratio of fats and lean meat, but you can do it with the raw fats if you're getting a load of diarrhea. That's my take on it. Lee, anything?
Hey, what's your take?
You said exactly what I was thinking. Often the rendered fats, they can cause, for me, it was overwhelming. I actually felt a little bit of nausea, and you think, oh, you know, and then you just chill for a little bit, and then all of a sudden things go through, but they usually flush through. And that's why, you know, if you're having diarrhea, quite often it can be too much fat, but it can also be rendered fat. And I think I agree again as well. I was going to say that when you eat raw meat, a lot of people, and I've had a lot of people tell me this, they don't need to drink as much water, and I've experienced the same, but you also don't eat as much. You just don't eat as much. It's like cooking is a hack for eating more. So if you wanted to get in more, if you wanted to build muscle, for example, cooking is a great way to go about it, because you're going to really struggle eating the amount of raw food to get in enough mass of, you know, volume of food. So yeah, I think obviously there is definitely benefits for some people. They seem to do a lot better. It can be less inflammatory for some people. Perhaps it is the rendered fats and things like that. But yeah, I mean, if you're doing better on it, absolutely carry on doing that. You know, I mean, if it's not broken, don't try and fix it. So I've got absolutely nothing against it. It's just obviously, are you getting in enough, you know, nutrients? You able to eat enough food? So it's just a trial and error experiences per individual kind of thing.
That makes sense. Yeah, we've got another question kind of related to that. It's on Jonas Wonder Planets, the cult. It was seeming to help me until I fell off the wagon. What do I think about it? I probably shouldn't say my thoughts on it. I'll let Phil, you say my thoughts on it. You know what I'm going to say.
I don't know, really. I mean, I think he was pretty inspiring. I particularly love his video where he's eating raw chicken on the doctors, you know, just to wind them up. Yeah, he was an interesting character. And, you know, he seemed to have reversed a hell of a lot of stuff with a load of butter and meat. And what else is it? Maybe some kind of celery juice or something. What else? I've forgotten the actual protocol. But I don't know. I mean, personally, I see better results when people cut the dairy out. You know, compared to a standard diet, whatever Arjuna says is, you know, streets ahead, and it's marvelous. And people have had fantastic healing on it. But I think he missed something on the dairy, where a lot of people are sensitive to that, or it's perhaps, you know, not so good for humans anyway. And the result, the detriments to it sort of happen further down the line, so people don't connect it. I don't know, you know. And there was his interesting death. You know, what happened to that? Collapsing balcony in Thailand or something? Anyway, I don't know.
Probably
Interesting.
Could be the Reckies.
Sorry?
Could be the Reckies, Phil. I think sometimes these people are quite... People that are paradoxicals, people that have like a dichotomous idea, you know, this or that, you know, they're so extreme in either direction. Usually people do seem to be pioneers in these sort of things. They do come up with some really interesting stuff, but they also come up with a load of shit. And he doesn't have legitimate credentials, guys. I'll say that much. He's not might have experience, but he's not legitimate in terms of like what he said he was qualified in. That's all out of his arsehole, basically. But I think some of his stuff is pretty cool.
Yeah, what happened maybe was that he discovered this in a pioneering way, and he didn't have enough other people to bounce it off. Nowadays, you can look at a load of people, all the different results, you know, what somebody's saying, and what will fix diabetes is really not what will fix autoimmunity. You know, you need to go a bit further, stuff like that. If he got lucky with what he fixed, and a load of people who followed him got lucky with what he said, that's cool. But now with so many people getting onto it and looking at all the different aspects of it, I don't know. I think that the closest for me is Sophia at Paleo Medicina for, you know, how to get people well initially. And it's probably best to drop the dairy. If you want to add it in later on and see what happens, great. But I see a lot of people failing when they start off with a load of dairy, you know, and he was eating a load, wasn't he? Like what the Americans call a stick of butter and stuff, you know, eating whole ones of that. And I don't know. People probably better a different route these days. But yeah, interesting pioneer.
Lee, what do you think, if you know much about him?
I'm not massively familiar. I mean, I am aware of some of his work. I haven't read any of his books or anything like that, but I understand I can understand why you got cult there. There's a large sort of following of people that hold him like, you know, the be all and end all. He's like a god. I think I respect the guy. You know, I think he's a super smart man. I think he was, you know, I respect his intuitive nature. I think he's, like you say, he's one of the pioneers, and he did certainly get a lot right. But that doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone. It doesn't mean that's what we should take all of our inspiration from and strategies in terms of diet protocols. You know, he's got all these different protocols, and yeah, I agree. There's way too much dairy going on. Yes, he did promote what looks to be quite natural, you know, ancestrally appropriate in many ways, but maybe not so much, like you say, the dairy. And again, honey, raw honey and things like this, I don't agree with whatsoever. I think in nature, yes, that's very advantageous, but in the modern world, winter never comes. Honey's not something you want to go and seek out. It's just basically pure concentrated fructose. It's, you know, high amounts of fructose in that than there is high fructose corn syrup, and we know how bad that is. So, you know, there's a lot of good stuff that he says, but I would take, you know, just like you would anyone really, be open-minded, take it. If there's things that work, that's great, but I wouldn't necessarily kind of hold it as this godlike teaching, you know, like this holy holy grail of teachings.
For sure, yeah. We can pick and choose what we want, guys. That's the great thing about being online. We've all got different expertise. You know, I'd go to Phil if I had a family member with severe autoimmunity. I'd go to Lee if I had someone with, you know, colon ripped out and all sorts of nasty stuff like that. You might go to me if you've got a spine disease or autism, or you're trying to build your body. You go to Ben Hunt if you're looking for the what do you call it, the anthropology of human evolution and that sort of thing, or ancestral origins. You've got Richard Smith, and understands biochemistry really well, biology as well. Who else we got? Al Reeves, asking about training really hard and stuff, and supplements maybe. So yeah, we've got a whole array of information here, guys, you can access. So it's probably the best way to go about getting all the carnivore diet stuff right. And a lot of people go wrong, like Phil said, just eating too much dairy at the start because it's easy to eat, you know, loads of cheese and stuff. You know, it's hyper-palatable, guys, but it's not a whole food in that it's not going to give you everything your body needs to survive. But yeah, I'll stop rambling now. But we got a question about ketones. It is from Cam's dad. Hi, Cam's dad. I've been testing ketones in my urine for a few weeks, and it's always positive. About 40 plus. That seems absurdly high, and I thought the range was a lot lower than that. But it might be different units in the US, maybe. Someone suggested my body hasn't got used to using ketosis yet, doing carnivore 8 for 8 months. We've probably going to say the same answer, but I'll ask Phil about it first. I mean, what's your take on measuring, testing ketones and things?
Well, unless you've got some sort of serious autoimmunity and you're trying to track it, I wouldn't think it's worth it. And also, yeah, I understand this business of, you know, I don't know what 40 plus means. Again, I'm a bit puzzled because that seems like a monstrously high amount of ketones in English money anyway. But yeah, if you're testing the ketones in your urine, I think all I've done it with is those strips, and it goes really purple, which means, you know, you're in ketosis, or at least there's a load of ketones coming out. And then after a while, it doesn't figure, so it doesn't show up. So then again, they say, well, this is when the body is using ketones more efficiently, and so it's not getting thrown out yet. Sorry, I just saw one pop up here, just for 1 sec. Why did Olicron? How old is Phil? Anyone know?
200.
I'm as old as the hills, mate. 61, 62 in a couple of months. There you go. Anyway, yeah, so ketones. I think it's much more accurate testing it from blood levels with a finger prick or whatever. Lee, Jonathan, anything?
I've never really been too worried about where I am with the ketones. I think I did a fast a little while ago, and I was quite curious. I got my ketone stick out. I've always been in optimal range in the beginning when I was testing. Again, with the UK keto sticks, I think it sort of goes up. I think I was in perhaps about, is it 1 to 4 or something like that? I can't remember now what's optimal.
Yeah.
But I went into a pretty long fast for me. I've never done 5 days before, but I checked it at sort of day 4 and day 5. It was like really, really dark, you know, like you just squeeze like poured red wine onto a piece of watercolor paper or something like that. Really, really dark. But I honestly wouldn't worry if you don't feel like you're inflamed, you don't feel like there's any problems. I wouldn't worry. I think that we're naturally supposed to go in and out of ketosis anyway. We shouldn't really try and stay in ketosis. You know, we're on a ketogenic diet, but most of the time when you eat, certainly if there's enough protein, you're probably going to come out of ketosis. I'll be curious to see if you measured right after a meal, if it's the same. But I don't know what that's equivalent to in terms of what I've used to measure my ketones.
Yeah, my take on it is I've met people that feel good at 0 ketones, and I've met people that feel good at 5.5 ketones.
Right.
Blood ketones seems to be the most accurate. I mean, urine's what your body's getting rid of, so maybe you've used up some that's in your blood, and therefore your urine measurement might actually measure lower, or it might even measure higher. You know, these things are just snapshots in time. Personally, I don't see the point. The only real reason clinically I'd see a point is if someone had epilepsy or something a bit more severe like that, where they knew they had a certain target to get to, so they knew they weren't, you know, having elevated blood glucose for too long. Outside of that, I mean, I've met people that have experienced high ketones after meals, and also people that have experienced lower ketones after meals. You're pissing in the wind, basically, trying to find out what the optimal level is. Now, in terms of myself, I feel good when I have measured it in the past, just out of interest, about 0.5 to 1, which is quite low on the scale. It's basically a trickle of ketones coming out. I eat a very high protein diet, maybe that comes into it, I don't know. And I know people that feel great at 5.5, so it's not that important, guys. It's really not. And I don't seem to be unhealthy because of it. Now, when my ketones have been higher, so when I've done, for example, I think I did a couple of days of fasting maybe a couple of years ago, and I got my ketones up to about 4. I felt horrendous, like really bad, not pleasant at all. It wasn't like I was just hungry. It's like I felt anxious, like my heart was pounding out my chest. So I was like, I don't want to feel like that. You know, had some Greek yogurt, bit of protein powder in it, brilliant, felt fine. And I've experienced the same thing with some women as well, and some men. You know, it's a shot in the dark, and I think it's an absolute waste of time. I think it's useful as a tool. I mean, if you know, for example, okay, I'm eating no carbohydrate foods, and I can track it, and I can measure it and say, oh, I'm always trying to get between this and this. Yeah, it's a useful tool, but I wouldn't be seeing the keto levels as an endpoint. I did make a video called ketosis is pointless or something like that. I don't know, maybe like 6 to 9 months ago, and I explained through all the ins and outs of keto testing, what is and isn't good or bad, and all the caveats and problems with it. It's largely a waste of time, in my opinion. But, you know, what do I know? We're following the carnivore diet, guys. We're not in a keto diet. It just happens to be, like Lee said, at times ketogenic, just by nature of protein and fat. But, you know, Lee's got a question specifically for him about rejecting stoma parts, if you can answer that one.
I don't really know what you mean. Stoma parts. Is my body rejecting stoma parts? I have a stoma. My previous operation was a success. I haven't had any issues with that particular area. I mean, it's just I have to address this other area with my up and coming surgery. So I'm not really sure what you mean by that, stoma parts.
Fair, yeah, I wasn't sure either. I thought maybe it was a technical thing that you knew. We got a super chat. I think
Jonathan, can I just do a real quick one before I lose it? John Martin says, you guys ignore raw versus pasteurized dairy, very different. This is a real interesting subject for me, because I'd say, John, please go to my YouTube channel and look up my 2 chats with Sophia Clements. Like I you know, no dogmatism here. If you enjoy dairy and you get on with it, absolutely fantastic, go for it. But for a different view, look at my chat. You know, is raw dairy worse than pasteurized for autoimmunity? There are certain things she says there where, you know, with the undamaged growth factors, it could be even worse, and that dairy is really not so great when you're an adult because it can cause unusual cell replication. And raw seems to be better than pasteurized because you don't get such an immediate reaction to it. But have a look. That's not to say I'm 100% convinced, but it's something worth looking at. I mean, with somebody with autoimmunity myself, I found, people keep saying, have you tried raw? Have you tried A2? Have you tried? Yeah, it's all the same. It all bothers me. But have a look at the Zofia Clements interviews and have a different view on it anyway. And one other quick one, what's your take on SHP? I guess you mean self-healing protocol, the salt thing. There's a load of people on our challenge getting really into this at the moment. I'm unconvinced at the moment, drinking, basically enormous amounts of seawater every day. To me, it triggers a load of diarrhea and detox symptoms, and they might be beneficial in the long run. I'm keeping an eye on it. But because when you're autoimmune, one of the main things is to sort of have a solid dump every now and again and not have diarrhea all the time. I wonder what it does to the microbiome, but I'm keeping an eye on it. Sorry, I jumped ahead there. I'm whizzing through the comments. Can't help it. Carry on.
You can spot them better than I can. I'm the one pressing the buttons, guys. I'm doing my best. I'm not the best at it. But 25 years, Christian's patient. Thank you. The inspiration. Imagine that's to you, Phil, or you, Lee. It's not to me. If you look on your thing, if it's not got a paperclip, it's you.
I've got OBJ written on the right side. I don't know what that means, actually.
Oh, that's just an emoji or something, I think. Or like a sticker or something. It doesn't come up on this. Anyway, whoever it is, thank you for donating to either Phil or Lee. Much appreciated. A question about omega-3 to 6 ratios. And there is a study online about omega-3 causing lipofuscin. Would love to know your thoughts on this, as have a lot of age spots. Thank you.
I've not heard that before.
No. They both do oxidize. The thing about omega-3 is if we have it in animal form, when we cook it, it seems to be very protected. The same thing's true for vitamin C. So they've done titration tests where they've actually measured the omega-3 content of cooked food versus raw food. Omega-3 is held up very, very, very well in real food format. So you're thinking oily fish, even beef, stuff like that. I wouldn't be concerned about oxidation, but the main thing is cooking with it. So I wouldn't, get a bottle of olive oil or omega-3 oil or any oil pretty much, just cook with it. I'd never do that. I'd always have oils cold. Hard fats you can cook with, soft fats not. I think the only exception might be, actually it's hard fat anyway, it's coconut oil. You can cook with that probably, but it's relatively innocuous. I prefer like tallow or butter. Phil, have you heard anything about this at all?
I don't know. Excuse me. Yeah, I have heard a few things about this. I'm real simple on it. Just, eat whole sort of food, like animal parts. Just get on with it. I mean, lamb is a bit higher in omega-3, or quite a bit higher, I think, than beef. And, if you want small oily fish now and again, and just think of it as foods instead of this. We're always into this reductionism, aren't we? It's great to understand what it is. I love listening to the science on it, but I don't have any. I just eat whole animals or, whole animal parts instead of, I'd never take like an omega-3 supplement or anything like that. But so, just eat animals, and how do you feel? And then you don't have to sort of worry about omega-3s and chase ketones all day. That's true. I'm just old and simple.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Stay away from oil in a bottle. That's all I would say. If they come in the way of food, they don't oxidize like they would an oil in a bottle as soon as it hits that pan. And I wouldn't suggest olive oil or even coconut oil. That's just me. I think animal fats are the way forward. We wouldn't have really had access to olive oil and coconut oil, really. That's hard work.
It's mega process, guys. We can't get olives from a tree or a branch, squash them down and get the oil out of it. There's so many more processes involved. It's not a natural food at all. we've somehow managed to gather it up and put it in an oil, but it's not clean, guys. I think I read a study recently said like 70% of it was tainted or 60% of it's tainted. So I wouldn't touch it. You'd be paying so much money to get the real deal anyway. And if you've got the real deal, it's probably not going to make you live longer. It's not going to be tastier or better than animal fat. So yeah, good points, Ellie. There's a question about strict line diet with no salt for a long time. Will I get deficient in certain vitamins and minerals? Let's break down the question here. So he's done strict line diet, so beef and lamb, ruminant meat, with no salt for a long time. He's done it for a long time, but he doesn't apparently seem to be ill. The answer is no, probably not. But maybe you have a sweaty day, maybe you go out to a desert, maybe you do a lot of activity, then maybe you crave a bit more salt, a bit more water, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Shame it didn't come with all the blood. That's the only thing I would say. We don't have the blood, so that's one potential loss. That's another benefit perhaps to cooking raw as well. I'm not saying you get rid of, but some of these juices we lose a little bit. We might not get them all back in the system. But I think that's a great diet. If you're on that diet, it's great. If you feel good, carry on. But again, maybe down the line you might want to consider electrolytes. It just depends on your own experience and what kind of meat you can get. I've got a butcher that every now and again, when he's got enough customers that they want this, he'll sort of not age the beef at all. A lot of people have histamine issues and stuff like that. They don't age the beef, and then there's more blood. So you've got more electrolytes and things like that. I think lamb may be better as well. I haven't looked into this, but lamb is certainly higher in omega-3s. I think it's probably higher in electrolytes as well because they don't age it for as long. So, I mean, maybe try some lamb as well. But I think that's a pretty good diet to me. If it doesn't make you feel bad and you feel good, carry on doing it.
Fair, yeah. Phil, do you have a take on it at all?
No, not really. I think you covered it there, guys. Nothing more.
There's a question about carnivore ice cream, which is a recipe I made recently, which is very naughty, but it is very, very good. It is really good, guys. It's so good.
I bet.
If you're going to eat that stuff, put a shitload of sugar and honey in it. What the fuck? Just enjoy yourself. Jesus.
No, I make it pretty clean, and I can't tell the difference between a McFlurry and what I make, which is it's whey protein, single cream or double cream. You can use egg yolks if you want. You can use raw milk as well. So if you've got a strong stomach and you're not intolerant to things, it's a great idea. If you're trying to gain a bit of weight, we've got a question about that later. But in terms of sweetening in it, you can use some things. You could use sucralose. You could use aspartame, you could use all these things, but the thing is, they're all going to apparently kill you within about a day, so I probably wouldn't use them. I do. They taste really good. But you'll struggle to find anything which doesn't have that in it. Other alternatives might include monk fruit, stevia, or glycine powder. Glycine powder is not particularly sweet. It's about 1/3 the sweetness of sugar, so you'll have to use a ton of it. Even then, it's not going to be McFlurry flavour, I tell you, it's not. I've tried it, it's really not. Outside of that, I mean, you're just going to struggle to find a sweetener that isn't pure. Even stevia nowadays, guys, when you buy a packet of stevia, it'll say 1% steviol glycosides, 99% maltodextrin. If you've seen Eddie be recently, malto-fucking-dextrin, it's not real food, guys. It's not real food. So I would avoid that one. But if you can find pure stevia, go for that one. If you can find pure monk fruit, try that one. And if you don't care much about sweets, just use some glycine. It's relatively cheap. Do you guys confer a benefit to carnivore ice cream, or is it a bit of waste of time?
Only if you were going to fall off the bandwagon and that's what kept you.
That's what it was.
Something terrible like grains or some cereal or a big old blowout pizza or something. I think if that's going to keep you on track and you don't feel too guilty about it, I would say do it. But I just wouldn't do it every day. It's these things. If we make an excuse like, it's still carnivore, it's mostly animal based and it's all good and that was really nice, and then you have it the next day and then you have it the next day. That's probably the only issue. If you can't moderate these things, maybe just keep it as a treat. And I would say, more power to you if you get away with it. I have considered making just the cream and is it egg yolks and things like that. I probably would stay away from the vanilla extracts and things like that. I don't think there's anything normal about having some kind of vanilla extract. You've got to think about how potent those molecules are in there that has such an effect that you can, transform your whole batch into something that tastes like some beautiful, sweet, delicious vanilla ice cream. I think it's probably a bad way to go. But I don't know. I mean, it does sound nice. It does appeal. I'm not going to lie, but
Yeah.
It depends on the individual.
Phil, do you ever take on it at all?
No, I was just being silly, really. I mean, to me, a load of sugar hurts me a lot less than a load of dairy. So, if I was going to have carnivore ice cream, I'd just throw a load of sugar and honey in it. But that's not to say that's a good idea. I just wouldn't have either. So, don't ask me. I come from the autoimmune angle. So, if you like it and you don't have any problem with it, go for it, enjoy it. But I think Lee made a great point that, having one of those things can have the cascade into addiction again. So
it's a tight boundary. If you can't moderate, guys, don't bother.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get people in the comment section after. Oh, Carnivore Muscle Jonathan said eat protein powder and have loads of ice. No, I didn't say that, guys. I said I'm double the muscle mass of pretty much everyone watching this right now, and I can tolerate it just fine. If you can't tolerate it, like I said at the start, don't have it. It's that simple. If you're someone that goes off the bandwagon, don't have it. Definitely don't have it. Absolutely not. So yeah, I mean, for me, I can have it. Doesn't seem to destroy my blood glucose levels. It's pretty much the equivalent for me as eating, I don't know, minced beef with some cheese on it. My blood does exactly the same thing for me. But I've got a bigger pool to deal with blood glucose because I'm a heavy person. But if you're a light, 40-kilo woman, don't bother, guys. We'll just have a bit less. But yeah, I get so many trolls about this. And I'm still one of the strictest people online that talk about the carnivore diet. Really. I mean, there's people in our space that are still having onions and broccoli every day and cauliflower, and they say they're keto or low carb. It's like, well, just say that. Because then you're misrepresenting what you're doing. It's just annoying. I know Phil's strict. I know you're strict. Both of you guys have to be strict. It's just that way. Then people like Ben will have some alcohol sometimes. He quite enjoys it. Fair enough. Doesn't mean he's a bad person, guys. It just means he likes to enjoy his life sometimes. We're allowed to enjoy our lives, guys. Yeah, it makes me laugh sometimes. I take a leaf from Phil's book sometimes. You got to laugh at these things. Yeah, we got. I'm moving to the next question. That's got me a bit wound up. Yeah, Tom's got a question about Sophia and fermented dairy. What? I mean, you spoken to Sophia about that in terms of fermented dairy at all?
Yeah, I have, and this is kind of funny actually because I got a message from Natasha just the other day that she is actually coming to our Spanish conference. Our Spanish kind of retreat and hangout later in the year in October. Sophia's going to be there for the week as well. And I'd like to sort of, I want to see some mud wrestling about this issue. I think it's worth a couple of grand, if you're not interested in seeing Anthony Chafee and his budgie smugglers, but want to see Sophia fighting with Natasha, over the dairy issue, then it's got to be worth the money. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what's going to happen between those two. According to Sophia, fermenting it doesn't do any good. It's all crap, and it's all going to kill you. That's basically her view. But she's really down the line on that. And some people have great healing while they're incorporating this fermented dairy. I don't. I find the more fermented it is, the more it hurts me. But your body is your greatest doctor. So listen to it and see what happens. I think they're both absolute geniuses. They're my heroes. And, I've only just really properly met Natasha, but Sophia I know really well. And I love them both. I think they're great. And, I think they'll have a great discussion about it, be entertaining. And I really want to sit there and listen to it. If we have one of those Q&As in the evenings and sitting around the pool or whatever, and it hasn't come up, I'm going to bring it up. And I'm going to see what the conversation is between them. But it's not going to be filmed or anything, so you'll have to get there to hear it. I'll report back afterwards. But I'm looking forward to that. Those two, their differences in opinion. But to be honest, they're both helping so many people to heal, and they're both amazing. So let's see. And she says it's crap. There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to state the obvious here about this guy, Bear TV. He's double the muscle mass and everyone watching here. Wow, that's a lot of muscle. We currently have 113 people on the stream right now, guys. I do not weigh 226 of you, just to clarify, in case it wasn't obvious. I don't know if he's trying to be clever, but that's a moron comment. Absolute moron. But anyway, in this topic, here's a question about gaining weight. I'll ask you guys, because I mean, you guys both have different kind of situations to me. You both inevitably had to lose weight, be more restrictive in your diets, eating less food types. So what has your experience been like gaining or maintaining or losing weight? I mean, what have you found good or bad for your experience? Maybe start with Phil, maybe.
It depends if you're autoimmune, in which case I wouldn't worry about it at all. People get really worried, and twice I've been through really massive flares, and twice I've ended up like 9 stone, about 120 pounds at 5'10", and both times it's come back on again when the gut's healed. So how do you gain weight on the carnivore diet if you're autoimmune? You just eat what you're already eating and wait till the gut's healed and the weight will come up. And then sometimes people get paranoid and they go, oh, I'm losing too much weight, I better add some sweet potatoes and this and that. But that's only going to add fat and inflammation. So there's no point. I mean, what kind of weight do you want to gain? Is it muscle? I hope so. If you want to gain fat, then just get off the carnivore diet, eat a load of pizza or something, and then you'll gain fat. But if you're on a really good carnivore diet and you're healthy, then how do you gain weight on the carnivore diet? Train. That's it.
I guess it depends what weight we're talking about here, guys. I mean, if someone's emaciated, the quickest way to gain weight, just fat in general, is just to eat a pizza or something. You know, carbs and fats together will exponentially increase your body weight much quicker than doing carbs or fat alone. Hyperpalatability as well. I mean, if you can find a way to get your food to be more palatable, add some seasonings, maybe, if you can tolerate some of them. You know, salt it more liberally. I don't know. Give your body a reason to increase weight. Do some training. Cardio seems to increase appetite exponentially. Believe it or not. So it sounds counterintuitive, but if someone really struggles to gain weight, I'm actually say to reduce their food intake for about a week or two, get their body kind of like healed, like what Phil said, recovered, reduce inflammation, then you can push back up again. Make sure sleeping well, stuff like that. That's what I'd look at, but it's a very broad question. I wouldn't know how to deal with it unless I spoke to the person. What's your kind of take, Lee?
Well, I sort of went through a little bit of a phase where I started to lose a lot of weight in the beginning, you know, but I obviously had relieved myself of my depression. So it wasn't like I wanted to go back and eat all of the foods that I was eating before. And so I looked into milk, and obviously, you know, we've both suffered, me and Phil, with autoimmune problems. But for some reason, I think perhaps where I had my colon taken out, I mean, I'm sure I'm at risk in some ways of having other autoimmune conditions and stuff like that. But for me, the raw milk was like, oh, that's probably the best way to go, because you know, you've got the carbohydrate content that's going to allow higher activation, if you like, of the Randall cycle. That's going to allow, which is potentially not something you want to do long term, and that's why I kind of went through a phase of loading on some milk, but not going too crazy, you know, trying to moderate it, which was hard. Just being mindful, I suppose. You know, I don't want to just start pouring 2 liters down like every day, you know, just have like a couple of glasses and that, hope to stay in low grade ketosis. I was a bit worried about coming out of ketosis in the beginning as well, but that enabled me to gain weight. And actually, I think as I became more fat adapted, I could get more fat in. And that's something that I've noticed. There's no way, if I went back, you know, a year ago, that I could eat a kilo of fatty meat in one go. That just wouldn't have happened. I think I would have been full almost halfway through and thought, wow, you know, I need something else if I'm going to eat it, you know. But sometimes time helps and loading up on fats if you're a bit new to it. But yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? You know, Phil, obviously you struggle with your dairy, and you think like if you had to, for whatever reason, gain some weight, just say fat, you're probably going to load up maybe on fructose, add some fructose, you know, to your carnivore diet, and that would be the best way to go about it. But if you struggle with, I don't know, different issues pertaining to sugar, then you might want to stay away from that. For some reason, I didn't quite well, other than struggling to moderate here and there with the raw milk. And that did me quite well there. But I can eat enough now, and I don't look like a big fella, but I'm really not a big fella. You know, I'm 5'6", 140 pounds. That's actually quite healthy for my height. I feel optimal. You know, if I'm around 140 pounds, I feel pretty good, and I can maintain that just eating red meat. So it's tricky. You might just have to trial and error on different things. You know, sometimes it's hard to get the food in. Another thing I was doing was eating as much meat as I can eat. I'm full, can't eat any more. and then I'll take a cup and put about 4 egg yolks in it and just drink that. That's how I would do it, because you're drinking that food down, you know what I mean? And then afterwards. And another thing, it's quite hydrating, and so you don't almost feel like you have to have some water right afterwards, and then you can wait an hour and then sip on some water later. And it's just a way of getting extra, calories in, and maybe adding some weight.
Well, one quick thing on that though, people forget what a healthy body looks like. So if somebody's telling you, "Oh, you're looking ever so thin,"
yeah, that's very
how
true.
big are they? Have they got a big fat ass? And we get so used to people who are overweight with a belly. Somebody who's actually in shape but doesn't train, if you like, and they're just a sort of natural weight, like a tribes person would be. They look weird to people. So if somebody's giving you any pressure on that, ignore them, because you probably look a hell of a lot better than they do.
That's a great point. I get it all the time, and I know that, and it's a funny thing to say, but if you look at me standing here in a t-shirt, I'm just standing in I look a little bit bony, I look a bit small. If I take my t-shirt off, I look quite healthy, apart from my bag. I look quite healthy. And so, sometimes I think we get used to the way that the modern human looks in stature and size, and actually that's just a lot of inflammation going on there. So you're dead right, Phil. I agree.
Yeah, I'm not a healthy body to aspire to be, guys. But if you want to gain weight and you're really like struggling, you're like, well, how do I do it? I'd book a consultation with myself, to be honest. There's some way you're going wrong. 9 times out of 10, it's people just aren't eating enough fat, if I'm honest. That's what I experience in most situations. Or they're trying to be really lean, like shredded, like abs, 8-pack sort of thing, and they're trying to gain weight. It's like, pick one. You can't do both. Bodybuilders can do both. That use the performance enhancing drugs, yes. Chances are you're not. Pick one goal and stick to it, then adapt your diet, training, lifestyle towards that. We've got 2 more questions now, guys, so I'm just going to go through these, then we're going to wrap up. This is from Hi guys, a good friend of mine has stage 4 colon cancer. He's having the unusual treatment and I'm encouraging him to go carnivore, but he's very unsure. How can I persuade him? Any ideas? You guys can take this one. I'm going to set out.
Yes, and I know Tim. Hello, Tim. Right, Tim, I got to be honest. When you get cancer, you get such fear mongering from the medical profession. It's extremely difficult to persuade them. And you're a good friend of his, so you're probably the last one to persuade him, because, as they say, an expert is somebody who knows their stuff and is more than 50 miles from home, because nobody who knows you really trusts you. I would honestly say, and I don't push consults usually, but get him to come and talk to me, get him to have a consult. But if he's willing, again, people get stuck in the system. Sometimes you have to let them go, because friends and family will say, "Oh, don't listen to any of these quacks. You've got cancer now. You absolutely have to go, and listen to your oncologist and whatever." So I think that to get a consult with me, and then, but not particularly that I'm a massive expert on that, but I think I'm quite eloquent and can give him confidence that he should go to somebody else like Zofia and really get tracked. Whereas Zofia will just give you the protocols, bang, 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 and Andrew, hello, Andrew Scarborough, he popped up just there with a great comment. But yes, just, talk to me if he wants to, and I will really take him through why he should get confidence. And then he can go to Zofia, who doesn't really explain stuff like that, and get tracked, and she has the clinical results for it. It's got to be a sort of a double whammy thing. I think when you're healing something, the absolute number one important thing is confidence and support. Because if all your relatives are telling you that you're talking to a lunatic quack, you're going to go straight back into the system and you're going to be in trouble. So yeah, just confidence is the thing, and it's very difficult to break through that, particularly if you're their friend. So honestly, Tim, I don't think you're the person to do that. I have difficulty with my family. I've more difficulty with my family than anybody else. I just don't bother anymore, So except for kids, just to make sure they, just give them stuff that's really good. And if they go get some crap somewhere else, that's cool. But yeah. Yeah.
Andrew's comment here.
Diet, definitely, Andrew's spot on here. Get into ketosis with that. There's melatonin, maybe all of this stuff that Andrew's saying, because nobody knows more about reversing cancer than Andrew. He's absolutely brilliant. But yeah, get a load of confidence and don't you try and persuade them. It's going to be incredibly frustrating.
Lee, do you ever taken it at all outside of what Phil said?
I mean, as far as what I know, if you're going to go about treating cancer, you don't want to be eating carbohydrates, you don't want to be eating sugar, you don't want to be consuming anything toxic or inflammatory. So if I was diagnosed right now, obviously don't have my colon, and again, another reason why I would advocate for red meat as much, as anything else. Focus on fatty red meat. That's if you're going to eat, that's what you eat. Don't eat carbohydrates. And obviously, you don't want to inflame your gut, and everything found in plants, whether it might be a plant protein, the gluten, the wheat, and all this kind of stuff, but you've got the fiber and lectins and things like that are all inflammatory. And sugar, it loves sugar, it loves glutamine. But what I've learned is mostly from Thomas Seyfried and his protocols. Ketones are non-fermentable fuels. Cancer is a symptom of dysfunction to mitochondria, and they rely on fermentable fuels being sugar and glutamine. We can get rid of the sugar quite easily. And then down the line, I think you've got protocols, certain specific drugs that target the glutamine pathways. So you can starve cancer cells. And definitely the confidence, the self-belief, optimize sleep, get away from EMS, get away from blue light, exercise, cold thermogenesis, all this kind of stuff. I mean, there's lots of things you could go about implementing, but I would definitely recommend Thomas Seyfried. I think he's brilliant, very, very clear on his protocols. It's very, very easy to understand. As someone who's not a doctor, I seem to understand it quite well. I think that's the way to go. That's how I would do it, and definitely fast. The lion diet. Get onto a lion diet. Transition slowly when you're comfortable. Load up perhaps, and then fast and practice fasting for as long as you can. You want to throw the kitchen sink at everything that you can think of in the kitchen sink, basically. So, good luck with that.
Yeah, I'm going through something similar right now, not personally, but someone very close to me. So I'm taking on board everything you guys are saying and thinking about it, listening to the stuff. So yeah, appreciate that. Very good answers. Very good answers. We've got one more question from my good friend Steph. She's one of my coaching clients. She has tremendous physique, guys. Seriously. She also has a YouTube channel, so subscribe to her, please, if you have not yet already. She's got long format videos where she talks about her journey on the carnivore diet. Talk like an hour or two videos, good in depth. She's a good speaker. I recommend listening to her. But her question's about autoimmune flare-ups and how would you identify if you're about to have them. If I'm honest, I'd say that it is what you've written there. So it's nasal congestion, skin rashes, hives, an off feeling, maybe nausea, joint swelling. That's what I'd think it would be. So I think what you're experiencing there are the symptoms of a autoimmune flare-up. But how you work that out beforehand, I don't know. Phil, do you have a take on it at all?
Sorry, I just scrolled it down and couldn't get the mute button. Yeah, I don't know. You mean distinguishing between an autoimmune flare-up or histamine intolerance when getting nasal congestion, skin rashes, hives? I don't know. I mean, if you're autoimmune and you're having a flare-up, then your particular autoimmune condition will flare up. I'm not quite sure how to answer that one. Histamine intolerance, yeah, that can manifest as various different things. I don't know. I mean, nasal congestion for me is really just down to dairy. That's it. I don't seem to get it from anything else. Skin rashes and hives. Is that something you'd get with histamine intolerance?
I don't know about definitely autoimmune.
Yes.
Get a lot of skin. I don't know about histamine. I think a lot of people
Histamine. Yeah, histamine. In my experience, people have actually tested for it. A few people that I know that have been tested for it seemed to be that's the first symptom they get.
Right.
So, I don't know. I'm not a world expert. That's why I'm not really saying I know much. I don't bloody know.
Some people,
I'd think,
don't they? And other people get a blocked nose, and it can be kind of. Or some people get redness and itchiness and things like that. Echoes what's going on the inside in your biome and things like that. The autoimmune response and stuff like that. I think some people struggle, obviously, around smoked foods or even just smoke in general, and they can't breathe right, the respiratory kind of symptoms and things like that. But I think, again, like what Phil's saying, if you've got a particular autoimmune problem, usually that area, whatever your symptoms are there, they seem to show up and flare up kind of thing. And that's a sign that you're obviously triggering it with something.
Yes,
yeah,
Steph's got...
The skin rashes and hives can also be an oxalate issue. As the oxalates come out, it can also be a symptom of your liver having a bit of distress, and then it's not detoxing properly, so the skin becomes that sort of like second, well, it's after the lungs, isn't it, but sort of like third organ of detox. So it's difficult to tell. I have to ask so many more questions of somebody to find out what's going on there, I think. Yeah, she's got lots of comorbidity. She's not how to put it, on paper, she's not the healthiest person at all. She's got lots of things wrong with her, but she manages very, very well considering. If you saw her, you'd think there's nothing wrong with her, but there's a few things. So yeah, I mean, I won't disclose her private information, but yeah, she does the best she can, basically. She has a very clean diet, beef and lamb sometimes, mackerel. She doesn't really eat much else. That's about it. She's pretty much meat and seafood sort of diet for the most part, and eggs sometimes. Yeah, she's very meticulous, honestly. So I think it could just be one of those things. I'd look at. Okay, just put it on the screen now. So there we go. So celiac, Hashimoto's, lupus. Yeah, don't know if that gives you a bit of a better clue. But two things that I do quite like for any kind of nasal issue or congestion issue: N-acetylcysteine and quercetin. They're two things which are well documented to be helpful for that kind of ailment. Will they fix it? Probably not, but they might give you some symptomatic relief. So I'd look at that, and I'm not a supplement pusher sort of guy, really. I'm not anymore anyway, but they might provide you some relief if that's something you're concerned about. So that's about it, guys. Do you guys have anything, any last words, any final words to say about anything?
Exercise. My congestion. Go out and do some exercise, and then you're all clear, and just try and nose breathe as much as possible. I try and do that in the night every now and again. I wake up and sort of, I've never actually taken my mouth shut, but maybe I should try and do that, see if that benefits me.
Yeah, I might have to try that as well. I remember Michael Mason was saying about that a few weeks ago, and I was like, well, I could try that. Yeah. It's one thing I've not tried. I'm a big bloke. If I can't breathe properly, that's it. I won't sleep well. So I don't like the idea of having another possible airway blocked, but I'll try it for a night and see what happens. Yeah. Anyway, that's all for tonight, guys. Thank you very much for joining. If you're listening in either Lee's, Phil's, or my channel, to follow our channels, just follow Lee at Kent Carnivore. To follow Phil Escott, follow him at Phil Escott. To follow me at Carnivore Muscle. As far as I know, me and Phil do have consultations that we do offer. I specialise in body composition stuff. Phil specialises in autoimmunity and all things health and beyond. And Lee, you offering anything private at the moment? Any sort of services or stuff?
No, I'll try and respond to all my messages and emails. That's about it.
Nice one. Yeah, it is appreciated. I could appreciate how many subscribers you got at this point, like 40k or something. You get a heap of messages and comments, so you do well to keep up with it. And I struggle to keep up with the 20, 30 I get a day. So it is well appreciated. So on behalf of everyone in the community, we do appreciate your efforts, especially with the channel, the video. And I did do a video with Lee about a week ago, maybe a bit less. So an interview, so check that one out. Came out maybe a week, I think it's about a week ago. It's about carnivore bodybuilding and stuff like that. But I'm going to get Lee on my channel, I believe tomorrow, about 2 o'clock. We're going to do a pre-recorded video. So that'll be out for about a week or two from now as well. But yeah, that's all for tonight, guys. So I'll see you guys next week, and hopefully we'll have a few more.
One quick thing before we go, like Andrew, if you're still there, you're coming along at Easter, right? I'm just looking at your comments here. Remind me to ask you about this glutamine thing. Really interesting with the cancer stuff that you're putting in there in the chat. So
it's a smaller pebble, Phil.
Sorry?
It's a smaller pebble bait. That's what he's saying. The sugar is the main culprit.
I know, but he's got some interesting angles on there that I haven't heard that we don't have time to expand on. So remind me to ask you at Easter there, Andrew. Very cool. Very interesting.
Appreciate it.
Nice one. Cheers, guys. See you all next week. Cheers.
Nice one. See you later.